Grapefruit League action is well underway, and so are we here at Cardinal Territory, live from Roger Dean Stadium. Trevor's on one side of the complex, and I'm on the other. We are back for episode 19. Trevor, welcome to Florida. How do you feel?
Feel good. We're here in the flesh. It's amazing here. It's actually really nice today. It was good to be in the ballpark. The Cardinals aren't playing at home; they're on the road. But I caught a little bit of the Marlins game. The one thing that stood out, and you probably noticed this, Katie, but the Marlins attendance versus the Cardinals game attendance drastically different. I mean, there's hardly anybody in the stands today.
Yes. I obviously did not go to Dunedin today. And I stayed back to do some work at the complex. And I was walking around and I was like, oh, I guess there's not really a game today because it's so empty. And then I heard the PA announcer doing starting lineups. I was like, oh, my bad. I guess there is a game today. But yeah, Trevor, I feel like I can finally start like really getting excited for baseball season because yeah, whatever, spring training games don't matter. I hear you. But we're starting to get our first early insights as to how the Cardinals are going to piece together their lineup and their roster come opening day, which is just over a month away. And that's fun to see because it's been a very long winter with not much to talk about. And now here we are. So I wanted to ask you, in this very small sample size, the Cardinals have played roughly 3 2/3 games. It's the top of the 7th right now as we record. Who stood out to you so far?
Well, I've been happy with the starting pitching. I know guys are going in very, very brief stints, but the veteran guys, they're getting their work in. They're getting the job done. They're getting in and out, having some quick innings. There's been some bullpen arms that have been very encouraging. I'm excited about some of the arms, some guys that have some elite stuff, some high velocity. Overall, the pitching is something to be to build on, and I think we have some tools in place, some pieces that will be important. And then, I mean, your boy Jordan Walker, I have to say, I'm liking your pick more and more. The more I see him, he looks comfortable in the box. The power looks very present. Looks like he's ready to go. Victor Scott, another guy that's looked really well. He's having a great game today. He's hitting the ball hard. And then we have to give a shout out to JJ Weatherholt. He was a guy that wasn't really on my radar. I'm not sure why, but seeing him play, I can see that he's a guy to be excited about. First Cardinals homer of the season, followed up with a Luke and Baker homer. Another guy that we got to be excited about. And then I'll mention too, last one, Katie, and then I want to hear what you think. But you can never really downplay a guy like Wilson Contreras. I mean, his reputation he's always been that he's a hard worker and he shows up, he likes to compete, but he looks good. Like, he looks strong. I'm excited to see what he does at first base with Goldschmidt no longer here.
Yeah, I was talking to Wilson today in the clubhouse. A few veterans didn't go on the trip, mainly the ones who played on Monday, just for playing time purposes. But I said, hey, Steven Matz is a good teammate for you. He gave you 2 innings, 5 ground ball outs, and you had it covered, looked pretty easy. And Wilson, he likes to laugh, and he scoffed a little bit. And he said, I hear what people say. And he said, I don't care. He didn't use that exact phrase. What he did say is probably not something I'm allowed to say on the show. But he looks great out there. So, and the bat looks good too, right? He had a scorcher of a hit with like a scorcher of a ball, 660 expecting batting average that was caught in right field yesterday. And I was like, yeah, it doesn't really matter what the production is, as long as the bat looks like that, he's going to be fine. Of course, I'm going to promote Jordan Walker's 2-hit day yesterday. I don't care if it was one game. What I really liked from Jordan Walker was just the quality of the at-bats and the production of each hit itself. So he went 2 for 3 yesterday, Monday. First hit was a single up the middle, exit velocity of 105 miles per hour. His second hit, a double down the line for an RBI. And the big thing about those 2 hits were that the balls were in the air, both line drive hits. Hit it hard, hit it in the air. That's how we're evaluating Jordan Walker. So Monday's game gets an A+ for me. Other guys that stood out, I know it's a 2-inning sample size, but I thought Steven Matz looked really good on Monday. He looked in control, in command. He threw his full arsenal. I asked him after the game, I was like, are you just trying to throw as many pitches as possible and work through as many pitches as you can in those 2 innings? And he said, basically, he wanted to use the full arsenal to really get a feel for all his pitches. You know this, Trevor. This is something that guys are working on early in spring. But he said, I might switch it up a little bit because I made the comment that his pitch mix looked nothing like how it usually looks when he's playing regular games. And he said, maybe that's the problem. Maybe I throw too many fastballs, so I'm trying to mix in some off speeds. But Steven Matz, after a lot of health issues over the last 3 years, looks really good so far this spring. So that's good to see as well.
What about our boy Quinn Matthews today? I thought he looked sharp.
Matthews, that's our guy. Yeah, he looked really good. 3 strikeouts in 2 innings, struck out Vladdy. What I liked, and you can speak to this, Trevor, he got in some trouble in the second inning. Bases loaded and had to get out of it, and he did, struck out the 9th hitter. What Ollie Marmol has said before is that that's where you really find out where a guy is at and where he's made of, that it's easier to evaluate a pitcher like that. Clean innings are great, obviously. But if you have a guy who gets himself into trouble and then figures out how to get out of it, that's where you can really evaluate where a pitcher is at. And I thought we saw a really good, impressive first showing from Quinn Matthews today.
Yeah, he got out of that inning, bases loaded jam. And even after falling behind 1-0 to that hitter that he ended up striking out. So, yeah, impressive for him to bear down and get out of it. I know, like, in spring training, you'll hear guys, whether it's a hitter or a pitcher, maybe say, like, I'm not too worried about my spring training stats. I'm just trying to get my reps in and get my pitches in and get work in. But I don't really buy that. Like, I know for me, when I was in spring training, like, I wanted to figure out where I was. I was doing the best I possibly could, trying to get outs in preparation for the season. And I think we got a lot of good momentum building for these players. I know, obviously we want to win some games. It looks so far today like it's going to be a close one. But you can't downplay the importance of spring training reps and spring training at bats. And so I don't know what you're hearing in camp. Hopefully guys are having fun. I mean, it's still early. Hopefully we're not taking it too serious, but at the same time, like we want to get a feel for where we're at and not completely throw these games out the window.
Yeah, it was a little surprised to see the majority of the starters in Monday's game play 6 innings. They wanted the 3 at bats. So clearly these are, competitions that these guys are taking seriously. We'll see Mike McGreevy start on Wednesday in Tampa. Andre Palante will start Thursday. Sonny Gray is still not scheduled to start in an exhibition game, but he's on track with his throwing program. He threw 2 innings of a sim game on the backfields on Sunday, I believe. So all things good with Sonny there. Different pitchers prefer different pacing, different strategies in spring training. I'm excited to see Sonny when he's ready on the mound, but it's not spring training, Trevor, without some early overreactions. And I have one for you. So look, spring training lineups, spring training stats are that you can't draw a ton of conclusions from these, except sometimes you can. So let's see here. Okay, maybe we won't.
There's Katie. Just
here. Trying to rest. Okay, let's try this again. I'm going to show the opening day lineup from the Grapefruit opener on Saturday. There we go. It only took me like 15 seconds. I know a hypothetical opening day lineup when I see one, and while a lot, and this is fair, like a lot of spring training lineups are designated by service time, personal preference, off days. There's a lot of strategy involved, especially with this road trip that the Cardinals are currently on. This looks like a potential opening day lineup to me. We'll run through it. Mason Winn at short, Brendan Donovan at second, Wilson Contreras at first, Nolan Arenado at third, Nootbaar in center, Herrera catching. Oh my God, I can't even read a lineup right. Nootbaar in left field, Herrera behind the plate, Gorman DH, Walker in right, Siani in center, and of course, presumably, it would be Sonny Gray, not Eric Fetty, for the Cardinals' opening day lineup. Now, I asked Ollie Marmol about this, and he played coy, as he should, but I'm wondering, Trevor, if the season started today, is this the opening day lineup you would go with?
Oh, what a question. Sure. I don't know. I mean, off the top, based off of what I've seen from Victor Scott, I think he deserves a serious consideration for the opening day lineup. But it's a long season, Katie. I mean, this thing's going to get switched around and turned upside down so many different ways. And with players that, like, I mean, JJ Weatherholt and what he's doing, who knows where he ends up in the mix. But certainly, I mean, this could be a good option for sure. What do you think? What are your thoughts? You kind of alluded to it. You think this is what we got. This is, regardless of the coyness of Marmol, you believe this to be our maybe our first option.
I think it's very close, and I think center field can go either way. I'm glad you brought up Victor Scott. He's been the offense the early showings of that has looked really good, and I personally don't know which argument, because you can make an argument for both players. They're so similar. They're left-handed defensive specialists with a ton of speed, and they don't necessarily hit for a ton of power, but they have some pop. I think Victor more than Siani. So center field is my big question mark here, but I think I like the balance of the handedness here. The Cardinals last year had such a left-handed heavy lineup, and it was really easy for opposing managers to strategize against. I mean, especially because the Cardinals bench really was not all that useful. It was very one-dimensional, something that Ollie Marmol talked about at length last year. I like Donnie in the 2-hole. I was not surprised at all to see Contreras and Arenado a 3-4. I was a little surprised to see Nootbaar 5th, but I kind of like it because Nootbaar has one of the best eyes in the game. He controls the plate well. He has a great approach, and he can do some damage. He hits the ball really hard. So I like that there, even though I was a little surprised to see it. Herrera is the asterisk that I want to put here, because I think Herrera is the better offensive option at catcher. And what he also brings us some right-handed thump to supplement behind Contreras and Arenado. You look at the rest of this lineup, Donnie is a lefty, Gorman a lefty, Siani/Scott lefties, Nootbaar lefty. So you need some right-handed power to supplement that. And when I asked Ollie Marmol about it, he was like, yeah, absolutely. Herrera and Jordan Walker, if these guys can figure it out, that's the complementary power behind those big bats in the middle of the order. So I like Herrera there, but I still think we'll see Pedro Pages there as well. Again, I can see them platooning, mainly because Pedro is so well prepared. His game prep is top notch, and the staff really likes to throw with him. So I'm not going to be totally sold, but I think it's a good indication of where the Cardinals think they can maximize this. Another thing that's really tough, and we've talked about it before on our interview with Ollie Marmol last week, is he has to balance the best possible lineup to win that day with what the Cardinals are trying to figure out long term. And that's going to be really difficult.
Yeah, there's going to be guys that aren't playing on a specific day, and maybe they should be, but like Gorman, for example, at the DH, and maybe Baker gets some starts because they want to have him get regular at bats. They don't want him going a week or 2 weeks without getting in the lineup and seeing actual pitching. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think, like I mentioned earlier, I think we're going to see it shaken up, especially early on, and how guys are performing. But that, I think, compared to last year, that's probably a good thing. It's a good thing that there are more options. There's more players that we're excited to see. A lot of potential. I mean, we're seeing it in spring training. There's a lot of things to be excited about. And I was listening to our guys at the Talking Baseball podcast, Coach Trev and Talking Jake. They gave us a shout out, so that was really cool. They do a great job. Yeah,
I love those guys.
Well, and they gave Katie Woo some love. They said they love themselves some Katie Woo, and I was kind of jealous. They did mention my name, but not with such affection that they gave you. Which, by the way, if you read our comments, like especially our last 2 episodes, people want less of me and more of you. So
no, but I think it should be the opposite, because I think that the interviews are so good. I just like to sit back and listen. No, we're going to keep it exactly the way that it is. And I know we have some fun interviews coming up too. And we might have a Trevor only show teaser. So I'm excited about that.
Well, forgive me for stepping on your toes.
Oh, I don't care.
Katie. But I think we're doing a great job. We're figuring this out. It's still early. It's spring training. Give us
just wait till we do 3 episodes a week, and hopefully my production will be better, because I'm actually so disappointed so far on how it's looking. But we still have at least another half of the show for me to redeem myself. So keep our fingers crossed.
We're doing great. We're great. But if you're a Cardinals fan, I don't know if I would recommend you go and listen to especially if you're an optimistic Cardinals fan. They didn't give us the greatest prediction. They had our win-loss at our wins for the season. Sorry, total wins for the season at 77 games. They said we were going to come in at the under. They gave a pretty good explanation. I'm not sure if I agree with it. The one thing I do agree with that we're seeing in spring training, there's a lot of things to be excited about. There's a lot of young players, a lot of young talent. The veteran players look pretty good so far. Still early, but I'm still on the hype train. I think we're gonna build some momentum over these next few weeks in camp and get a hot start in April. I don't know. What do you think? What do you got on this over under prediction, Katie?
Well, first, I want to second your shout out to Talkin' Baseball, Coach Trev, Talkin' Jake. Those are some great guys at John Boy Media, and we appreciate the love from them. But I'm going to disagree with their 77 wins under projection. I'm not going to go out there and say the Cardinals are going to win 90 games. No, I'm definitely not going to say that. But I think they're closer to a 500 club than what people are saying. I've looked at a lot of projections, Pacoda, ESPN, The Athletic, and none of them have the Cardinals higher than 24 out of 30. So that's not what you want. But when we talked about this before, this is almost the exact same roster as last year. And I don't want to minimize the impact of losing Paul Goldschmidt or what Kyle Gibson and Lance Lynn were able to do in terms of stability to the rotation. Those were three very key players to last year's 83-win team. But I don't think the offense is going to be as bad as last year. And here's something that maybe we're not talking enough about. The NL Central doesn't look to be very good either, Trevor, and fans get tired of this. I get it. It's not just about winning the division. It's about being an actual competitive club. But I wonder, and this is total speculation way ahead of the game, if the Cardinals are playing 500 ball through the first half of this season, and a 500 record is enough for a wild card berth, what are they going to do at the trade deadline? And that to me just knowing this organization and what they're looking to do would make me think that 77 wins would be higher, because I would think they would go for it. But again, way too early to be predicting that. It's not even March yet.
Yeah, I think we're going to probably have a lot to talk about. That's my prediction. We're going to have a lot to talk about around the trade deadline. What direction does the front office choose to go with this team? I mean, we are in this transition, or the pre new era of the front office, and so yeah, I'm gonna be interested to see how this all unfolds. Lots to be excited about right now.
I think so. It's still so early. Why wouldn't we? There's more things to talk about over here at Grapefruit League action, but first we need to hear from Arena Club.
Oh, Todd Father. Remember the good old days when we would have the cards in the binders, but then they'd get all messed up and we're trying to sell online and it's just real clunky? They really actually weren't the good old days, were they?
No, they were definitely not. But now there's a better way. The Arena Club has been dominant with this. You get to trade your cards, you could sell them. But the best part for me is getting them graded. I love everything about that. This new age of getting cards graded. You could display them on your online showroom, your mobile device. It's the coolest thing in the world.
Whether you're buying, selling, trading, or displaying, Arena Club is the all-in-one trading card platform. You have to sign up for an account at arenaclub.com/foul. Just like Todd Father mentioned, there's a process that combines AI and human grading to get the job done. Right now, 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/foul. Use code FOUL. That's arenaclub.com/foul. Code FOUL for 20% off your first purchase.
All right, Trevor. So you're back in Jupiter, Florida. You're back at Roger Dean. And I want to ask you, what was your favorite spring training experience here, or what tradition did you have here that you absolutely had to do?
Well, the first place that I went last night for dinner was Guanabanas. I don't know why. I just like that place.
You do like that place.
I don't think they have necessarily the best food. The menu actually has changed a lot since I was here. I just like the outdoor vibe. There's not many restaurants that you can go to in the country where it's 100% outdoor. So I appreciate that. Any restaurant on the water. But for sure the beach, which I haven't been to the beach yet since I've been here. I've been busy all morning, but I like going to the beach and soaking up this Florida sunshine. It's a great place though. It brings back a lot of very fond memories. I know like I mentioned earlier, the Cardinals fans travel well. They usually make a vacation out of this. It seems like for how well they pack the stadium. I know there's not that many local Cardinal fan residents, so they have to be coming from somewhere. But it's a great time to be here. What about you? What should I add to my list? Anything that I'm forgetting?
Okay, so this is something that Polo Asensio, the Spanish broadcaster, started a couple years ago. Across from the stadium is this shaved ice place, and it is so good. I have to restrict myself to one a week, but so I last had one on Sunday, and today is Tuesday, so it's a new week. So I did get one for lunch today. It's super good. Crux coffee is a mainstay. I get that almost. It's funny. We'll go in the clubhouse. Clubhouse is open at 8 a.m. real early. We'll do about an hour in there, and then the entire St. Louis media mob will go over to Crux Coffee, get our fix, and come back and talk to Ollie. So that's my little tradition. But I think if you've never been to Roger Dean or Jupiter in general, it's such a fun place. It's the beach, it's baseball, and it's 80 degrees. It cannot get any better than that. And you never know who you're going to run into because Jupiter is pretty small. So you see a bunch of guys out. I saw CC, the trainer, yesterday at dinner. Trevor, how did you pass the time from days that you weren't pitching? What did that spring training lifestyle look like for you?
So fun. I was actually talking about this earlier today with one of my friends. It was kind of tough because we were having kids at the time, especially early in my career. So we were always in the middle of nap time and changing diapers, but we were always sure to rent a house or some great neighborhoods. So like, actually I have a friend that we would rent a house from. It was in a really fun neighborhood. We had a pool. We had friends that lived in the neighborhood. So just like going to the parks and getting outside and spending time with friends and family was most memorable to me, especially because, we spent all of our off seasons in St. Louis. So it's like, February, March, you're getting out of the freezing cold and coming down to a place where it's 80 degrees and sunny and palm trees. I'm like, I'm going to take full advantage of this. One of my best memories is I have 3 daughters. I taught 2 of them how to ride bikes in spring training. It being Florida, I mean, it's flat. So it was like the prime place to take on the endeavor of, like, as a dad, that's like such a proud dad moment, is teaching your kids how to ride a bike for the first time. Unfortunately, I've taught them all now, and I don't have anything else to look forward to. I remember, like, when I was teaching my youngest daughter how to ride her bike, I was like, kind of like a tear coming to my eye. Like, this is the last one. This is my last chance.
Oh, that is sad. That is super sad. But your oldest daughter, she's like a gymnastics star, right?
Yeah. So she's taken bike riding to a whole new level. She's doing backflips on a balance beam that's as wide as an iPhone. So she's got it figured out. That had nothing to do with me.
So no, you taught her balance and she took it from there.
Yeah, I'll take any credit I can get.
All right. As we look to wrap this up, Trevor, is there anyone, I mean, as games progress, we're going to start seeing more, we're going to see longer leashes, right? You're going to see starting pitchers start to build up to the 3, 4, 5 inning mark. You're going to see guys stay in for at least 3, maybe 4 at bats. What are you looking for in terms of evaluation for players as these games progress and the playing time progresses as well?
Yeah, I mean, certainly, starting pitchers, seeing what their velocity looks like over the span of 4 or 5 innings, just seeing everybody kind of get stretched out. But and then there's a few guys that, I'm looking at the lineup and the box score right now that still haven't gotten, their first hits. So you want to see guys build momentum and notch some points in the hit column on the box score. But beyond that, I think it's so important, at this point with the clubhouse, like just developing some sort of chemistry. I mean, there's been a lot of stuff that's happened in the organization. There's all these conversation, all these external things happening with this team. And I'm not a part of it. I'm not in the clubhouse anymore, but I would just hope that there's some sort of leadership happening. There's some sort of chemistry being developed, however they do that, whether that's in the clubhouse or getting together away from the field. But it's a long season, and we're just at the beginning of it. So we have to find a way to make it fun. Like, yeah, it's a job. These guys are getting paid to perform and do a job. But when you put too much pressure on yourself, it makes it even harder. And that's when things can really start to unravel. So whoever needs to step up, whether that's the staff, we've talked about the staff. We had Ollie on. We know the energy that they have and the thoughts and the message that they have to the team and to the fan base. But for me, that's what I want to see. I want to see these guys go out and have fun, be a team, and go out and enjoy the game of baseball.
That's what it's all about, right? It's spring training. Baseball's back. We're almost 1 month until opening day when things start to get real. But for now, Trevor, I'm excited. I do think there is some legitimate competition in this Cardinals camp. Sure, it wasn't the most thrilling offseason, nor is it the most thrilling team on paper, but the things I'm going to be watching for as this spring progresses is the battle in center fields, the battle behind the plate, and just what exactly that rotation and bullpen combination is going to look like. One guy we didn't talk about, which we should have because he's a friend of the show, Gordon Graceffa, had a really nice outing yesterday. And he threw 2, which I thought was a tell. They haven't just strictly decided on bullpen usage for him yet. Most starters are throwing 2. Graceffa's right on that line for me. Could be a starter, could be a reliever. Could be a little bit of both. Could be a swingman. So you just never know. But you know this, the bullpen competition really starts to heat up towards the second half of camp. Your guy Bradley O'Brien's off to a good start. So we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah, Graceffa looked amazing. I was really impressed with his stuff. I mean, I'm excited about some of these arms that we've rolled out. There's even a couple of guys that didn't necessarily have the best first impression. They struggled a little bit, but like the stuff was there. They had glimpses of being able to compete at the highest level, at the major league level. So I wouldn't rule those guys out either. I mean, it's still early. There's going to be a lot of competition. There's going to be guys that, injuries are going to happen, and we're going to have to see. Hopefully not. Hopefully we have an injury-free camp and year. But I mean, there's so much with this team, I think, in the youth movement and these players and really the new approach, like getting more back to the core of it, like a draft and develop team. I think there's some pieces here where we're maybe not too far away of the end result that we're all hoping for. So I think I agree with you, Katie. We got the catching competition. We got center field. Looks like, the DH spot. How are we going to maximize that production? But I don't know, Katie. Am I missing anything here? I'm just excited. I'm like here. I'm across the street from Roger Dean.
I know you're back. No, I don't think we've talked about this. Why are you here? Why don't you tell our beloved audience a little bit about your mission and what you're involved with?
Yeah, so I'm here with the Baseball Assistance Team, or BAT. It's a great acronym, BAT. And so BAT is a pretty cool organization. It's been around for 40 years, and it serves to help players of the help members of the baseball family. So it can be a player, a coach, training staff, really anybody on the staff, front office, all the way down to the training room, and even scouts and umpires. So the contributions come from players. So in spring training, our staff, me included, we go into the MLB clubhouses and we meet with players. We describe the work that we do and the purpose of the organization. If they feel inclined, they contribute funds out of their paycheck for the year. And then we get to use those funds to help members of the baseball family that come on hard times, whether it be a natural disaster, illness, or just things outside of their control. And so it's a really cool organization. I mean, as you know, Katie, the baseball family is it's a really tight-knit community. And this organization is really the only thing in place that can help players and families that come on hard times. So I enjoy it. It's my first time doing the tour on this side. I've sat in it as a player, and now I'm a part of the board. I'm a board member of the baseball assistance team. So I get to see really how everything's operated from behind the scenes. And I feel very confident in telling players all the work that's being done and how their contributions are being put to use. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Katie.
No, that's awesome. And it's such a great foundation, one that I don't think a lot of fans really even know exists. So definitely keep up the good work there, Trevor. That's very awesome. And it's needed, especially in this tight-knit community that is the baseball world. For our baseball world, before we sign off, we're going to, for our YouTube audience at least, bless you with the 3 strikeouts that Quinn Matthews had in his Grapefruit League debut. Pretty nasty work. The future looks good. Trevor, what do you think?
He looks really, really good. I was impressed. Better than I remember Quinn Matthews looking when I was doing homework this offseason. So he's probably not too far away from us seeing him spend some time in St. Louis.
I don't think he's that far away either. He's certainly someone I'm watching as well. All right, let's call it. What a time was had. Trevor, you and I have places to be. It's almost 4 o'clock, which means it's almost 5 o'clock, which means it's almost happy hour. That's real girl math. So we'll be back. I got Alexa Datt coming on. New play-by-play voice for the St. Louis Cardinals, made history on Sunday as the first woman to call a play-by-play game for the St. Louis Cardinals. She's my guest at the end of the week. And then Trevor and I will be back with you next week. For those of you at home, thanks so much for watching. We'll talk to you soon.